The war had ended, but the world was still burning. Black smoke rose into the sky and the ground was covered with ash, broken metal, and bodies. The once beautiful alien planet, Syraxis, was now a dead battlefield. Ships had flown away. Soldiers had gone home. No one stayed behind, except for one human, Sergeant Ethan Cole. He walked slowly across the ruins, his gun low, his armor dirty and cracked. His eyes moved carefully, scanning the shadows between broken buildings and smoking craters. He wasn't supposed to be here. The orders were clear. Leave all zones. No survivors. No rescues. But Ethan had always followed his own heart more than his orders. He stepped over the remains of alien war machines and dead bodies, both human and alien. His boots crunched on broken glass. The silence was loud, broken only by wind and the soft buzzing of damaged drones floating overhead. Then, he heard it. A sound. Very soft. Almost like a whisper. Ethan stopped. He turned his head. His ears focused. There, it was again. A weak sound, almost like breathing. Not human. He moved quickly, crouched behind a pile of stone, and looked ahead. There, half buried under a broken tower, was a body. It was an alien. Tall, elegant, glowing skin covered in blood and dust. Her long silver hair was tangled, and her armor was crushed around her legs. She was still alive, her golden eyes barely opened. Her lips trembled as she whispered in her own language, too weak to speak loudly, too hurt to even move. Ethan stared at her. She was not just any alien. He recognized her face. Commander Lyari, the most feared female warrior of the enemy, army. She had destroyed entire human squads during the war. People called her the Flame of Syraxis. Now she was paralyzed and dying. And no one had come for her. Ethan's heart pounded. He raised his weapon, his fingers trembled. She's the enemy, he whispered to himself. But something didn't feel right. She wasn't attacking. She wasn't proud or angry. She was broken, abandoned by her own people. Her golden eyes locked onto his. There was no hate in them, just pain and fear. Ethan lowered his gun. He moved closer, stepping carefully. He kneeled beside her. "You're hurt," he said softly. "Can you understand me?" Lyari blinked slowly. Her lips moved. One word. "Help." Ethan's breath caught. If Command found out he helped her, they'd charge him with treason. They'd strip him of his rank and maybe even execute him. But he couldn't leave her like this. No human or alien deserved to die alone in the dust. "I'm going to lift you," he said. Her body didn't move, but a single tear rolled down her cheek. He gently pulled the broken metal off her legs. They were crushed. She couldn't move them at all. He checked for a pulse and it was weak, but there. He wrapped her in his cloak, picked her up in his arms and stood. She was light. Too light. She hadn't eaten in days. "I'll take you. Somewhere safe," Ethan whispered. As he turned to leave, a drone nearby lit up with a red light. It had scanned him. It had seen everything. Ethan looked at the drone. He knew what that meant. They were watching. They knew he had just saved the enemy. But he didn't care anymore. He carried Lyari through the smoke, past the broken bones of war. Every step felt heavier. Not because of her weight, but because of the danger he now carried. Behind him, the battlefield stayed silent. In his arms, the alien warrior closed her eyes, not in death, but for the first time, in peace. She had been left to die by her own people. Now her only hope was the human who should have left her behind too. Ethan Cole had broken the rules. He had carried the enemy in his arms, past the smoking wreckage, through the ruins of a war that had almost destroyed 2 worlds. The alien woman, Commander Lyari, was unconscious, bleeding, and unable to move. But he hadn't left her behind. Now she lay in his hidden shelter, a dark, underground bunker left behind by retreating soldiers. The walls were cracked, the lights flickered, and the Air smelled like rust and old fuel. It wasn't safe, but it was the only place he could hide her. She was breathing slowly now. Her eyes were half open. Ethan knelt beside her, removing his helmet. "You're safe here," he said. "I don't know why I saved you, but I did." Layari blinked. She didn't answer. He opened his med kit. He had only a few supplies: gauze, painkillers, and one old healing injector. He used what he could. Her wounds were deep, and her legs were broken beyond what human tech could repair. He looked at her closely. Even in pain, her face was beautiful, strange and elegant. Her skin shimmered like pale crystal and her eyes glowed softly. She didn't look like a monster. She looked like someone who had been betrayed. "She's the enemy," he told himself again. But it didn't matter now. Back at the human command ship orbiting above Syraxis, red alerts flashed across screens. "Unauthorized movement detected," said a cold voice. A soldier pointed to the feed from a recon drone. On the screen, a human soldier was seen carrying an injured alien female away from the battlefield. "Zoom in. Confirm ID, target identified, Sergeant Ethan Cole." A general stared at the screen in silence. "Send a retrieval unit. If he resists, eliminate him." Ethan knew they'd come. He had only hours before someone tracked the drone footage and came after him. But he couldn't leave Layari now. She coughed. Her voice was weak. "Why? Save me." He turned toward her. "Because no one else would." "You're human," she whispered. I killed many. Your people." "I know," he said softly. "But you're not holding a weapon now. You're just someone who was left behind. Like so many others." Layari's head tilted slightly. "I never thought a human would care." Ethan gave her a small bottle of water. She drank slowly, shaking with every breath. "Rest," he said. "You need time to heal." Outside, night had fallen. Rain began to fall, thin black rain that smelled like metal and ash. Ethan stood at the bunker entrance holding his rifle. His eyes scanned the shadows. He wasn't afraid of enemy patrols anymore. The war was over. He was afraid of his own side now. An hour passed. Then, a sound. A soft click in the distance. Metal on stone. Footsteps. Ethan's muscles tensed. They had found him. He shut the door quietly and turned off the lights inside. Layari looked at him, confused. "What's wrong?" she asked. "They're coming," he whispered. "My people." She tried to sit up, but pain stopped her. "Go. Run. Leave me." He shook his head. "I'm not leaving you. Not again." From outside, a voice echoed through a speaker. "Sergeant Cole, this is Lieutenant Heron. You are under arrest for aiding an enemy combatant. Surrender immediately." Ethan looked down at Layari. "I won't let them take you," he said. She stared at him, a strange mix of sorrow and awe in her golden eyes. "No one has ever protected me," she whispered. Ethan placed a small blade in her hand. "If they break in, and I don't make it, fight." "I can't move my legs," she said. "Then fight with your voice," he said with a smile. "Or your mind. I'll hold them off." Outside, soldiers moved in position. Inside, a human and a half-dead alien warrior waited together in the dark, no longer enemies. Just two souls caught between orders and mercy. The bunker door held. For now. Outside, human soldiers waited in silence, watching and planning. Inside, Ethan Cole sat beside Commander Layari, his rifle across his lap, his thoughts racing. He had gone from soldier to traitor in one day. But when he looked at her, barely breathing, her alien skin glowing softly in the dark, he didn't feel guilt. He felt peace. She had once led armies. Now she couldn't lift her legs. He had once followed orders. Now he was protecting the enemy. Hours passed. Ethan used what little medical supplies he had left. Her wounds were healing slowly, but the damage to her spine was too great for human tech. She couldn't move her legs. Her body was weak, but her mind was still sharp. She watched him carefully as he worked. "You risk everything," she said slowly. "For me." "You shouldn't be alone," he replied. "No one from my side came," she whispered. "I was nothing to them the moment I fell." Ethan nodded. "Same with us, we leave the wounded behind, not enough ships, not enough care." She blinked, thoughtful. "So, we're not so different." "No," he said, giving her a weak smile. "Just taught to hate each other." Later that night, Ethan brought out an old tech device, a translator, patched together from scraps. "I want to understand you better," he said. "We speak different languages, but I think we feel the same pain." He connected the device to her arm sensor. Her native language began to filter through his ear. She whispered something. The machine translated. "I've seen hundreds die under my command, but I never expected anyone to save me." He said nothing, just listened. Then he added quietly, "I didn't save you because of who you were. I saved you because I saw you dying, and I couldn't walk away." The next morning, a surprise came. She could move her toes, just barely. It shocked both of them. Her eyes widened. "My nerve, they're waking up." Ethan grinned. "Maybe your body wants to fight back." "No," she said. "It wants to live. You gave it reason." Over the next 2 days, Ethan helped her every hour. He used warm water, massage, electric pulses, and guided her muscles with slow hand movements. She winced in pain, but never stopped. She learned human words. He learned hers. They talked. She told him about her childhood, raised in a warrior house, trained to fight by age 5. He told her about Earth, about forests, oceans, and music. She didn't understand music, so he played her an old song from his communicator. It was soft, human, sad. She closed her eyes, and for the first time, she smiled. But the peace wouldn't last. Ethan didn't know that a secret signal had already been sent. A hidden drone had flown above the bunker, recording everything. On a faraway ship, a human general watched the footage. "Is she healing?" he asked. The tech officer nodded. "Yes, sir. The alien is recovering. The soldier is helping her." The general's face turned cold. "Send in the unit. No more warnings." "End it quietly." Back in the bunker, Liari tried to sit up without help. Her arms shook. Her legs dragged. She fell. Ethan caught her. "Don't push too hard," he said gently. "I must," she replied. "If I don't walk again, they'll kill you because of me." He helped her onto the bed again. "You're not the reason they want to kill me," he said. "I chose this. I chose you." She looked at him for a long time. "Then I must choose you too." Outside, in the rain, black armored soldiers moved through the ruins, silent, deadly, and without mercy. They would arrive by nightfall. Inside, 2 former enemies were learning to trust, and the one who was paralyzed was beginning to rise again. The rain had turned black. Acid from the sky hissed as it touched metal and stone. The ruined city around the bunker seemed to groan in pain. In the heart of it all, Ethan Cole wiped sweat from his brow and loaded his last energy cell into his rifle. Something in the air had changed. He felt it. They were coming. Below ground, Liari tried again to move her legs. Her muscles trembled, and pain shot up her spine. But this time they responded, just a little more than yesterday. A toe moved, then the ankle, then... She cried out and collapsed. Ethan rushed to her side. "You're pushing too hard." She looked at him, breathless. "I have to. I can't let you die for me." "You're not the reason," he said. "They were always going to hunt me once I broke their rules. You just made the decision easier." Liari stared at him. "I once hunted humans like you. I never believed one could have honor." "I'm not doing this for honor," he replied. "I'm doing this because I couldn't watch you die." Outside, footsteps echoed through broken streets. Boots, quiet, trained, they were close now. In the command ship above Syraxis, a soldier spoke into a headset. "Target in sight. Orders?" "Do not damage the alien," the general said coldly. "Bring her back. Kill the traitor." Ethan had already set up traps, tripwires, smoke bombs, flash charges. But it wouldn't be enough. These weren't normal soldiers. These were black ops, silent killers, no names, no questions. He turned to Liari. "If I don't make it, you will. You need to promise me one thing." She reached up and touched his arm. "I don't care about promises. Just live." Their eyes locked. There was something between them now, something neither of them had expected when they met as enemies. The attack came fast. Smoke burst into the air. Lasers cut through the dark. Ethan fired back, using every shot to delay them. The enemy moved like ghosts. No fear, no sound. He ducked behind a wall, breathing hard, shoulder bleeding. Then he heard it. The bunker door. It was being opened. He turned toward it, raising his rifle, but it wasn't a soldier. It was Liari. Standing. Her body shook, her legs weak, but she stood tall, taller than Ethan. Her silver hair fell down her back. Her eyes glowed like fire. "You're walking," he whispered. "Not for long," she said. "But long enough." The soldier at the door paused, surprised to see her up. That hesitation was all she needed. Liari raised one hand. A surge of golden energy shot from her palm, slamming the soldier into the wall. Ethan stared in shock. "You have powers." They returned slowly. "With my strength," she said, breathing hard. "But I cannot do this alone." He nodded. "Then we fight together." The next minutes were a blur. Gunfire, screams, smoke and fire. Liari fought with blasts of light and sudden bursts of psychic force. Ethan covered her with precise shots and fearless movement. But the Black Ops unit was skilled. One by one, they pushed forward. A blade slashed Ethan's side. He fell to one knee. Liari screamed, not in fear, but in rage. She sent out a pulse of energy so strong it cracked the walls and sent soldiers flying. Only one remained. The leader. He stepped forward, blade in hand. "You should have let her die, Cole." Ethan raised his rifle, bleeding badly. "Maybe. But I didn't." The soldier rushed him, but Liari stepped between them. With one final scream of power, she blasted the man into the far wall, where he dropped, unconscious. Silence. Only the rain falling outside. Ethan collapsed. Liari caught him. "You're bleeding," she said. He smiled weakly. Still breathing, though. "You saved me." Again. He looked up at her. Her face glowing in the dim light, strong despite the pain. "No," he whispered. "This time you saved me." Outside the bunker, smoke rose into the sky. The enemy had failed. Inside, two once-sworn enemies sat together, wounded, changed, and no longer alone. But war had a long memory, and both sides would come again. The question now wasn't if they'd survive. It was what they would become next. The fire had burned out. Smoke drifted slowly across the ruined room, curling around broken walls and fallen soldiers. The rain had stopped, but the sky stayed gray, as if the world held its breath. Inside the bunker, Liari stood tall, her silver skin glowing faintly, her legs shaky but strong. Ethan Cole lay nearby, bleeding from his side, wrapped in an old blanket. His eyes were half closed, but still filled with that same stubborn fire. They had survived the first attack, but this was only the beginning. Liari moved slowly to him, each step a test of her returning strength. Her once paralyzed body trembled, but she no longer crawled. She walked. She knelt beside Ethan and placed her hand over his wound. Her fingers began to glow. Ethan winced. "Is that your healing power?" "Only for others," she whispered. "Never for myself." Warm light passed into his skin. The bleeding stopped. The pain faded. His breathing steadied. "You could have done this days ago." he asked, surprised. She looked away. No, I was still broken inside. It only came back when I saw you fall. Over the next 3 days, everything changed. Liari trained her legs in silence, using the walls for balance, walking the same path over and over. She didn't complain. She didn't rest. Every step was a battle. Every fall was a lesson. Ethan watched her with quiet awe. He'd seen soldiers heal, but never like this. Not with fire in their heart, not with purpose. You're not just recovering, he said one morning. You're becoming something stronger. I was trained to kill, she replied, gripping the wall, but you taught me to survive for someone else. By the 4th day, Liari could move without support. She even practiced slow combat movements, ancient alien forms passed down through generations. Her arms cut through the air like blades. Her feet struck with precision. She was no longer the fallen warrior. She was rising again, different, sharper, freer. Meanwhile, Ethan repaired what he could in the bunker. He built a signal jammer, fixed broken comms, and set up traps in case more soldiers came. His ribs still ached, but he ignored the pain. They were partners now. He wasn't protecting her anymore. They were protecting each other. That night, as the wind howled outside, Ethan and Liari sat across from each other under dim lights. Between them was a fire made from old tech scraps. She broke the silence. I never asked. What will happen to you if we're caught again? Ethan looked into the flames. Court-martial, prison, maybe worse. You saved an enemy, she said quietly. He smiled. I didn't see an enemy. I saw someone who deserved to live. She stared at him for a long time. What if I told you? I remember everything now. What my people were planning. Why they left me. Ethan leaned forward. Tell me. Liari's voice was cold and calm. Before the battle, I found out our leaders had made a secret decision, not just to win, but to cleanse. They wanted to wipe out every human on Syraxis. No prisoners. No survivors. Ethan's blood ran cold. Genocide? She nodded. I opposed it. I said it was dishonorable. They said I was weak. That's why they abandoned you, he whispered. They tried to kill me. When I survived the blast, they left me behind. She looked at him with fire in her golden eyes. I want to stop them, but I can't do it alone. Ethan stood slowly. You're not alone anymore. At sunrise, Liari stood in full armor, rebuilt from old parts, shaped by her own hands. Her blade hung across her back, her body tall and powerful once more. Ethan geared up beside her, rifle ready, his uniform patched but proud. They looked at each other, no longer soldier and enemy. Now they were a team, a force neither side expected. I know where they keep the plans, Liari said. If we get the data, we can expose them. Ethan nodded. Then we bring it to both sides, show them the truth. She paused. And if they still want war? He smiled. Then we fight. Together. Far in the distance, ships began to gather again. The next war was coming. But this time, a paralyzed alien warrior and a lone human soldier would walk straight into it, side by side. They moved through shadows. Ethan Cole and Commander Liari were no longer hiding. They were on a mission, not to escape, but to expose the truth. A hidden plan to erase humanity had nearly succeeded. Now the only two who could stop it were the very ones meant to die in silence. Their steps echoed through the hollow ruins of Syraxis City, deep beneath the old war front. The data they needed, the enemy's full plan, was stored in a secure, alien command vault below the surface. Liari led the way. Her armor shimmered softly, her legs steady now. The warrior who once couldn't move was walking with fire in her eyes. She was not just healed, she was reborn. Ethan followed close, his rifle ready. The city above them was watching. Drones circled overhead, silent and deadly. Time was running out. Almost there, Liari said as they reached a sealed blast door. Ethan connected a stolen override chip. Click. The door opened, revealing a cold chamber filled with blue lights and tall data towers. Inside stood 3 alien guards. They turned, weapons raised. Liari stepped forward. "Stand down," she commanded in her native tongue. "I am Commander Liari of House Varsoon." The guards froze, shocked. You were dead." "Not yet." The oldest of them lowered his weapon. "You betrayed the council." "I revealed the truth," she answered. "And I'll do it again." A pause, then a whisper. "We follow honor, not politics." The guards stepped aside. Ethan and Liari moved quickly. She placed her palm on the scanner. The system lit up. Recognizing her command authority, files unlocked, images flashed, war maps, troop lists, kill orders. Then, the final file, marked in red, Human Elimination Directive, Phase 2. Ethan stared at the screen. We're going to finish what the bombs didn't." Liari's face hardened. "We send this out now. Let the galaxy see their lies." She inserted a beacon drive. The data began uploading to public channels across both alien and human networks. Then, alarms. The council had found them. A deep voice echoed across the chamber. "You've broken sacred codes, Commander. There will be no forgiveness." "Good," Liari said. "I'm not asking for it." Explosions rocked the building. Soldiers poured into the halls above. Ethan grabbed the beacon and nodded. "We need a way out." Liari turned to the guards. "Will you fight?" The eldest one answered. "For truth, we will die." What followed was chaos. Ethan and Liari fought through narrow tunnels and collapsing bridges, covering each other like they had done 100 times in training. Except this wasn't training. This was survival. This was the real war now. Liari's blade flashed in arcs of blue light. Ethan's rifle fired with deadly precision. Each step forward cost them time, blood, and breath. Outside, human and alien ships picked up the signal across both sides of space. Leaders gasped as the hidden files appeared, full of names, orders, betrayals. The truth had spread. Liari's voice played in transmission. "To all who hear this, war is no longer about justice. It is about control. I was left to die for speaking truth, but now I walk again, to make sure no more lies take lives." By the time they reached the surface, the skies were no longer quiet. Alien and human fleets hovered above. Guns charged, a standoff. One move could start the final war, but then, a single ship dropped down between both armies. It was a neutral, broadcast vessel, flying the peace flag. And on its screen, Liari's face appeared. She stood beside Ethan. She spoke one final time. "This human saved me when I had no voice, no strength. And now, I stand for him, and for those who still believe in something greater than war." A long silence followed. Then, the human fleet powered down its weapons. One by one, alien warships followed. The battle was paused. The war, shaken. Liari turned to Ethan. "We did it," he smiled, exhausted. "Not yet, but we lit the match." In the skies above Syraxis, fleets waited. Below, 2 warriors, once enemies, now bonded by survival and truth, walked back into the ruins. Because what they started wasn't just a mission, it was a rebellion. Peace didn't come with fireworks. It came with silence. After the truth broadcast, the sky above Syraxis stayed quiet. The warships did not fire. The orders to attack were never given. No leaders spoke. No soldiers moved, because for the first time they didn't know what to believe. And all because 2 people, a forgotten human soldier and a paralyzed alien warrior, refused to walk away. In the wreckage of the old capital, Ethan Cole sat beside a pile of broken stone. His face was tired, his uniform torn, but his eyes were calm. Across from him, Liari stood tall. Her body no longer trembled. Her armor, now rebuilt with pieces of both human and alien tech, shimmered with quiet strength. She wasn't the same commander who once gave kill orders. She wasn't the same warrior who once bled in silence, alone. She had become something else, something rare, a symbol of what could be. The city around them was still dangerous. Rogue fighters, broken machines, and collapsing buildings were everywhere. But for now, there was a strange feeling in the air. Not peace, not war. Something between. Hope. Layari crouched beside Ethan. "They're waiting," she said softly. He looked up. "Both sides." She nodded. "No one wants to speak first, they're afraid." Ethan smiled faintly. "Good. Let them be afraid. Of truth." Hours passed. A message came in. Not from commanders or generals, but from ordinary soldiers. Human. Infantry sent a small shuttle with food and medicine. Alien medics arrived with translators and white flags. No guns. No orders. Just people. Layari stepped out to greet them. She didn't raise her weapon. She didn't speak in code. She simply said, "We're still alive, and that means there's still time." The next few days were quiet but powerful. Ethan and Layari moved between the camps, helping where they could, healing wounded, stopping fights, sharing their story. Some hated them, some called them traitors. But more listened, and slowly, more voices joined them. A human pilot said, "I lost my brother in the war, but if he saw what you two did, he'd say it was worth it." An alien technician whispered, "You remind me of my sister. She believed in peace too. She died for it." Ethan didn't want medals. Layari didn't ask for titles. They didn't lead armies. But people began to follow them anyway. Because in a galaxy full of warriors and killers, they were the only ones who cared when it didn't benefit them. They were the only ones who fought. Not for power, not for revenge, but for someone they should have hated. One night, as the fires burned low and stars returned to the sky, Layari looked at Ethan and asked softly, "If this is the end, would you do it again?" He didn't hesitate. "Every time," she nodded. "Even if it cost your life?" "It gave it meaning," he said. They sat in silence for a moment, then she placed her hand over his. "I was taught to destroy," she said. "But you showed me how to protect. You gave me back more than life. You gave me a reason to live." A few weeks later, a new flag was raised. Not human, not alien, just a simple silver banner, with two hands joined in the center. One human. One not. It flew over a new camp on Syraxis, a camp where enemies healed together, a camp that began with just two people who refused to stop caring. The war had turned both of them into ghosts. But by choosing each other, they had become something stronger. Legends.